welcome back to another Lessons in Dance. My name is Ortavia, and today's lesson is about body alignment. There's 3 basic points that I want to talk to you about. Okay, so the first thing is I want you to imagine that you have a string or pole that runs out of the crown of your head and reaches directly towards the heavens, and then extends down through your spine, straight past your belly button and directly to the floor. Okay, everything that's going to be straight, you want to line it up with this line. Okay, so the next thing you want to remember is that everything is going to stack upon this line in order to create a very solid structure. Okay, so from the floor, you know that your feet are automatically going to be straight. They're flat on the floor. Okay, from your ankles to your knees, you have no choice but to have that straight. So the next possible thing you want to do is to make sure that your knees are stretched. Okay, when I mean stretched, I mean that they are not bent in any kind of way. You want to make sure that they are straight and long. Okay, so once again, from the feet all the way to the knees, you want to make sure that that is straight. Next, you want to come up through the thighs and then get to your hips. Now, the important thing that you want to note about your hips is that most people's body alignment tends to poke them out forward, and some people's alignment makes them lean backwards. Okay, so I want you to take that belly button and I want you to make sure that it's in line directly with your hips that are directly in line with your knees. In order to do that, I want you to see my belly button. You see where I am? Now I want you to take that belly button and I want you to tuck it under so that you are now in line with your hips. Do you see that? Okay, so I'm going to poke myself out. This is my natural stance. But when I want to get in my dancer stance, I want to make sure that I'm lifting up in my hips as long as possible. And I'm tucking that pelvis under, making sure that my pelvis bone is pushing forward. And my belly button is now in line with all of that. Okay? So that's your stance from the bottom up towards your hips. Now you have your torso area. This is going to be straight all by itself, but you want to make sure that your shoulders are in line with your hips. So in order to do that, you want to make sure that your shoulders are not rolled forward, but they are rolled back. So you want to take them and just gently roll them backwards. Okay, do you see how that works? This is me unrolled. Now I want to roll them backwards. So now I'm pulled up in my center. My shoulders are rolled backwards. My shoulders are on top of my hips, which are on top of my toes, and my head is straight. This is your poise. Okay? Next thing I want you to note is that your belly button is the center of your mass. Okay? You want to make sure that all your weight, when you begin to balance, congregates towards that area. Say for instance you have a leg and you kind of have it lifted on layers, lifted halfway, perpendicular to your belly button, but you have it a little too low. Sometimes you'll tend to lean forward because of all that weight, and then if you can also have a tendency to lean too far backwards. So you want to make sure that all your weight is right there around your belly button so that you can uphold yourself. Okay, this is going to be the center of your balance. The last thing I want you to note is when you are lifting and when you are bending, you want to make sure that you remain in that straight line. When I go to releve, and you'll get to this point when you start to releve without a bar, you want to make sure that your knees are over your toes, your belly button are over your knees, and all your hips are in line. And as you raise up, all that's going to stay right where it's at. Okay? And you lower. The same thing happens when you go to plie. Okay, when I plie, I want to make sure that my belly button stays over my toes. I'm not doing this so that it's bending forward. I'm not going too far back, but I'm actually just moving straight down so that my belly button is over my toes. Now, this is actually called a primitive squat. Okay, it's as if I'm sitting in a chair, my belly button back towards my back. Okay, so those 3 points, again, I know I went through this really, really quickly, but the first one is to make believe that you have a pole that runs out of the top of your head and stretches through the floor. You want to make sure that everything is in line with that. So that means you want to make sure that your legs are stacked right under your hips and your spine is in line with that. So you want to make sure everything is pulled up and tucked under, belly button back. And then next thing, you want to make sure that your shoulders are back so that they are directly in line with your hips, okay? All that's going to help for you to bring all your weight inward, and you want to make sure that it congregates right around that navel so that you can keep your balance, okay? Now, when you are shifting from a two-leg stance to a one-legged stance, you want to make sure that that weight goes with it. So you want to make sure that your belly button goes wherever it is that your toe goes in order to balance. So I said that kind of funky, but this is me on 2 feet. If I go to 1 foot, I want to make sure that I shift my weight, my navel, to the leg that I want to balance on, and now my belly button is directly over my toes. The same thing as if I want to move to the other side, I want to make sure that I shift my belly button so that my foot is directly over my toes. Okay? I hope all that helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to write me and find me on Twitter, Instagram, and of course